Welcome to the next project. Today I'm continuing with the Harley Benton SC modification project. Today we'll be doing a bunch of stuff. I'll be showing you how I go about plugging the pickup cavity holes. Also how I go about plugging the stop tailpiece and Thomann bridge holes. And you might ask, well, why are you doing that? It's because I have a Tone Pros nickel wraparound bridge that I'm going to use on this guitar. And it is set up for a little bit wider post spacing than the Harley Benton kit. So I'm going to go ahead and plug those holes and get the top ready to be smoothed out for the new veneer that's going to be going over the whole thing. So let's start this project.
And here we go, getting things started. I'm using a center line that I've drawn on the back of the guitar down that narrow spine area, and I use that pink triangle to find kind of a 90-degree angle off of that, and I tape a couple of boards on that I use for guides. And using a pattern bit, which has a bearing above the cutting blades of the router, I use that as a guide so I can cut away that spine area, get a nice square area that I can use to plug that bridge pickup cavity. One thing you'll notice about how I work is that I kind of make everything up as I go. There's a general plan, but I quite often deviate from the plan and just kind of wing it as I get going. Everything I do is a prototype, so this guitar is a prototype built off somebody else's kit. Now I'm getting ready to clean up the top side of the bridge pickup cavity. I'm building a little bridge, I guess, so I can clean up the bridge. Basically taping, again, my double-sided tape, putting it down to build a platform that's high enough I can, again, use some boards to run across the guitar body so I can run my router down through, again using a pattern bit with a bearing on the top above the cutting blades to open up and square up that rear pickup cavity. Maybe one of the most important tools I have that I use more often than you would expect is a good sharp chisel. Really, you can do a lot of stuff. You can cut your fingers off with a good sharp chisel too, but actually if it's sharp, you're less likely to hurt yourself than if it's dull. So if you're going to buy a tool, pick up a good, like a 1/2 inch wide or larger chisel. And it doesn't have to be an expensive one. Learn how to sharpen it, and you can have a really cheap, cruddy chisel that would be crazy sharp. Here I am fitting a small block of wood that was glued up out of some scrap poplar, and I'm fitting it into the cavity that I routed out a little bit ago. And I have a scrap of MDF there with some adhesive back sandpaper stuck on it. I'm using just to help fine tune the fit. I want it snug but not so tight that I can't, get it out. And then I'll get it glued up and clamped in. I have some large metalworking C-clamp vice grips, but not everything has to be a wood clamp. And in a time of CNC and everything fun like that, I still have a hand plane just to help knock things down quickly. And getting ready to plug the Thomann and stop-tail piece mounting holes. I have a chunk of wooden dowel clamped in my, not very well clamped into my drill press. It's a little bit loose. And just spin it up and use either a file on it or sandpaper you see here. The block of wood I was using to push up against it is just to help hold the spinning dowel straight as I was putting pressure on it. As I glue the dowels in and tap them into place with a hammer, I also use, it's a Japanese pull saw. In this case, you could use some other kind of saw or even a chisel to cut the dowels off. But these Japanese pull saws, this is a cheap one from Harbor Freight too, and that works really well. In a similar fashion to what I did to the bridge pickup cavity, I'm using more glued up poplar scraps and shaping and fitting a plug to go into the front pickup cavity. Again, another sharp chisel in action. And there I put a mark on the wood and on the body just so I always have the orientation right as I'm sanding it, turning it around. And it has a nice snug fit. I'm ready to glue it up. Just doing a little quick trimming using a sharp chisel again. Actually, my chisel's getting a little dull, so I do actually need to sharpen it. Clamping the body to my bench and just kind of shaving a little bit off at a time, going with the grain and across the grain, whatever it takes, just to peel just a little bit off at a time. Now I'm jumping back to plugging the Thomann post holes. Since I had the dowel turned down to size already, it's pretty easy, quick process. Grab the saw, chop them off, and make it look and feel nice with a little bit of chisel cleanup. Another great thing for plugging holes is either a toothpick or those little bamboo skewers you can get at the grocery store. I use a toothpick here. I'm getting just a little bit impatient. I want to kind of see how it's going to look and feel. So I grabbed a block and started sanding. Realized I needed to bring the top of the pickup plugs down just a little bit more. But I'm going to be sanding the whole top and then using a little rock hard wood putty to fill low spots and imperfections before the final veneer cap will be glued on. Quick test, just dropping it onto the back piece that I'd glued up, and now I'm moving back to removing the spine from the back side of the body. Using the template that I made, even though I've modified it some more, I've cut the center block out and cleaned it up just a little bit, just so I can get through and remove the spine. And it's about this point that I started thinking that I didn't even really need to remove the spine. I could have left it in. It's not really reducing any weight. And honestly, I would like to possibly have a little more strength between the two pickup cavities. As you know, with acoustic guitars, the strings can try to pull a guitar together to try to fold it in half. I don't really see that being a problem, but you never know. And that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. I'm just going to do a little final cleanup of the interior and start gathering my wits to start the next step in the process. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Please subscribe, leave a comment, thumbs up, ring a bell, all that stuff. Do a little dance, whatever it takes. Anyway, hope to see you here for the next episode. Bye.
Welcome to the next project. Today I'm continuing with a Harley Benton SC kit modification project.